So the past few weeks, you were giving a report on the situation that's been happening with the coronavirus in China. How would a classical doctor thousands of years ago approach the situation that's happening right now? And what do you think we should be bringing our awareness to?
Okay. That's a very good question. For the Chinese medicine doctor, they are actually just like what a doctor is now in the society, to face to the life and the death. But the difference in between the Chinese medicine doctor and the West is about Chinese understand us in the ancient time. So we are facing to life and death. So when we face to life, right? So that's why every time the pandemic and then super alert to us. So we are going to face to the life death, which normally majority people won't think about the death unless you have elderly grandparents dying. So that's why you just said, wow, that's natural. But life keep going. You got full of energy, and then so you just feel like life can go on. But pandemic is very different, because there's by large, there's so many people had the similar symptoms, and then that they are kind of sick and also dying in a way, cause lots of fear. Because why particularly this time, and then there's so much fear, and because people feel we don't really know, because everybody could face to the similar situation. Because at the very beginning, lots of young people were thinking that's only the records say that old people very sick to get infected and then cause the death. Or the young people, there's no problem. But unfortunately, and since the report from American hospital and then from European hospital, especially in American, they find that's not the case. Even the young people also get it. So that's why so we are really, the whole global human race has to face to that kind of reality, and then the challenge about everybody can be infected. For example, the virus is so small, and they don't, they can transmit from air, and then can go through the water, can go through the touch, and then you don't really know why they are, because you cannot see them because they're tiny. And then there's no border that they can cross the border without visa, and they can go any age group, and so it doesn't really have any judgment. You're poor or you're rich, and then they don't care how much money you have got. They don't care how much your political position is going to be. So you can see they're really, showing that such a kind of power. So that's why I want to say that, and it's a great time for humanity as a whole to face to that situation, and then to stop, because they force us to slow down, to stay at home. It's almost like overall most of the country, and then they have to kind of to do the retreat. Most of the people have to do retreat to stay at home. So to calm down rather than running around without aware what is about the life. So this time, many people will face to either the family or their friends or themselves, and then can be infected. And also, sometimes from the infection to the death can be quite quick, and also can be quite long. There's so much uncertainty. So I really feel like now on the Chinese medicine, we know one thing is whatever disease, they call it disease, right? Why this disease is because we're not really eased with ourselves. But what that really means, so are we really understand what is true meaning of life? We really understand that the death means you just disappeared forever. Is that really means you're ended? So all of that bring the deep question for a human being need to face, to look into it, is why we're come from, who we are, and where we're going to. So that's why it is our choice. It's our choice to look deeply and then to understand why we are in that physical body, why we're in the earth, and why this pandemic happened, why they're attacked and lung. So that was, I think it's very, very important to be able to visit those questions, to understand we are the soul. Physical body is the house for the soul. That's what we were already talking about. But also we have, the intellect, we have a heart, and then we have, our emotion. So that's why if we haven't really have a clue who we are, of course we're going to be fearful, because if we give the birth, we thought, oh great, so I can eat, enjoy different taste. So and then eventually suddenly say, oh, I'm going to get sick. The death is the other people and nothing to do with me. But you see, that's why many people only start to try to find out what the humans is really about when they have faced the death or near-death experience. So that's what ancient Chinese medicine and ancient wisdom has been experienced, and then truly to discover about who we are. Long time ago, have many description and many books has been talking about the internal alchemy as the one very typically to, from the practical aspect, to discover what is the soul, and then what is the body related with soul. So we need to choose, because in the ancient wisdom we know, we have one of the phrase, probably lots of people said, oh, alchemy and immortal. So, but also people understand, the life said, how could we have been immortal? Because, we have how many cells, and then we're going to gradually, time passing on, we're gradually getting old. When we're getting old, we're all going to die. And then so that's why so-called immortal is just kind of imagination. It's not true. So I just want to really review of this because the pandemic is great opportunity for put that to test. It's almost like you pass the examination for human. You know, our human, and we can be have the very very old soul and in the new body, or could be very very young soul and in the body, but depends on whether we are acknowledged and on the earth journey to have that physical body, have seven emotions and have all of the sensational is a part of the design for us to learn how to transfer our physical life experience in that three dimension into the higher dimension. So that really means if we are cultivate, what do you mean the cultivate? It's because through the understand how body works. Because you know, for example, and then we have the rhythms of the sun, the moon. We have the rhythms about the life cycles. But and then if we know, and that is just the part of the tool for us to understand what is the position, this soul of us, we are the soul, okay, in that universe. So that's why and in the ancient Chinese medicine that look the you know the our life connecting with all of that life like animals and the trees and the rock and water and every other thing is a part of us. Uh-huh. At the same time, and understand we are connecting with the different planets and the sun and the moon because we are the energetic system. So this soul come down to the earth is to learn what does the energetic system works and what is the change and how can we from that three dimensions very limited kind of time and then into the higher dimension, for example, from the 4 or 5 or even more dimension, because in the different dimension, time is different concept. So when the time is different concept, it's not just linear. So that's why we can actually engaging with the cosmos energy. So the space and then time change. That's why we have a much more experience about what is a life. So life is not just like from the young to the old to the death. So when we understand, we are here to learn, right? Like examination. So how can we not caught off by the fear, by the desire over desire, and then we have a very very calm kind of a mind, and also to be able to get into that state. We know everything's connected. We accept it. We are very grateful, and then we respect each of the element bring and those to us. So when we were doing the service, and then we forgot ourselves. As soon as we forgot ourselves, we forgot those fear, forgot this desire, and then our vibration and our energy changed. And then that change means we're much more connecting with the high dimension. So that's why the time as elastic is last much longer. So that's why we get rid of the attachment. So that's we can emerging with the cosmos So that's one of the reasons when the people always ask me, say, "Wow, you're talking about cosmos as such kind of a, too big, as like not reality." So don't forget, and then Chinese medicine treat the body as a small cosmos, and then we treat the nation as a small cosmos, and a little bigger cosmos we treat as Earth is just a size, another cosmos, and then we treat the planet around solar. We call the solar and solar plexus. So that's partly we are in that kind of cluster of the stars. So there's another cosmos. But if we get billions of stars and the cosmos together, so we get the whole cosmos. So that's why, and then the Chinese medicine, we understand we have such infinite ability to emerging with that energy in the cosmos. As soon as you understand that, so you understand life, so-called life, because in Chinese there has one phrase called 出生入死, means you come from life and then you enter the death. But to understand, to enter is entered into death. You see, they're not say ended in the death and entered the death. Actually, the death is not the death we were thinking we are finished. It's another beginning, because we're going to another dimension and start another new journey. So as soon as you understand that, you're not fear for the death anymore. But you see why the people, the energy dropped drastically, and you can see because it's the fear. So that's why when we face to such big size about pandemic global, and why the China start that kind of pandemic so quick, because the Chinese medicine deeply, they're not fearful for the death, because they understand death is entered. So long you make this life and then much more meaningful, and then the meaningful means you are aware how to face to the all of the 7 emotion challenge, and then because our the we call the environment also have a different kind of energy, even the medicine. So for example, Chinese herbs also have a 7 emotion. So so just exactly like a human. So each herb, so like if we were talking about Chinese medicine, you start to understand. So look, we come from the oneness, from the emptiness, come from oneness. So you gave the life to the 2, right? So and then from the 2, you gave life to the 3. From the 3, you gave to 4 and 5, and from 5 elements to their 10,000 cents. So that is ancient wisdom, understand, because you know from your inside, and you understand that is the design for us to multiple ourselves, and then to be able to have a different aspect to assist us to experience the world. And what is deep understanding is those aspects all needed, is all connected. So that's why bring those parts as to understand there's the 2 big category is yin and yang. So within the yin and yang, so like we we juggling. How can we make sure the energetic, harmonious, and the balance? So that's one of the reasons. When we understand that, so we constantly and then learning how to balance up. But of course, when the life become and multiple more, so I have a more kind of elements and the knowledge we need to deal with. So in this case, when you were doing the exercise, for example, when you were standing very centered, so you're not kind of worried. So that's why you can feel the yin and yang. Normally, when you're doing qigong, you can feel, oh, and I have this part cold, this part hot. So you can feel that. And then if you're not really keep the yin yang balance, you gradually can feel more. You can feel, oh, numbness, itchy, and pain, and heavy, and swollen, and light, and all of that. So that's why the sensation has become a big, more experienced. So from that, because this all give you the information and the feedback. So those information and feedback for your body to let you know your state is little bit out of their harmonious. So that's why you are learning the awareness from yourself. So that's why when you were really standing there, cultivate, understand the energy, you gradually find your balance up again. So gradually those kind of sensation gradually disappeared. You become a very, very still, very relaxed. So this is part of the design for the human. Through those sensational to understand, we need a constant coming back and then searching how much we learn from the environment, how much we can come back to stay on the center. But now, when you were too long attached to the sensational, for example, people very much attached to their the food and the alcohol, and then gradually they're too much and taking it, and then eventually there's we call the yin and yang balance completely lost. So therefore they become so sick. So that's why you even try to coming back because it's so out of this balance. So that's why you have to searching for a kind of external help, and you become a more kind of anxiety and they couldn't sleep. So that's why we call it serious out of the balance, because and then the human being forgot to aware you come here because you want to upgrade your soul. You're not going to attach all those kinds of sensational. So you're constantly aware of that. That's why the ancient Chinese medical doctor, they are much more put effort to prevent disease at the first place, because as soon as you start a disease, they start kind of help you through the energy practice aware. Wow, don't forget you come here is because you want to learn from those limited and then sensation, and how to get in touch to the and those kind of the oneness feeling, which is you ultimately feel happy, you feel more free, because the human, like when you're searching more sensation, like you're so much attached to the sexual kind of that's why people just because those sensational stimulate, they could be increasingly get strong to fit your pleasure, the sense of the pleasure. So that's why they just come stronger and stronger. So, and then that's why people want to stimulate more and more to try to get sensational pleasure. That's why human gradually lost to guard or understand. So those are sensational to helping you to put yourself on navigate. So you're going to um, have experience in the 3 dimension and then gradually move to the higher dimension. And then you ultimately feel more happier rather than only the sensational pleasure. Because sensational pleasure, after that gone, and then eventually you start saying, oh God, you feel so lost because you're tired, you lost the energy. Just like when we were running the class, lots of students had been mentioned that to me that they take drugs before, because when they take drugs, they really feel, wow, it's almost like going to different dimension. Such wonderful, you forgot. But when you're coming back, you feel the kidney is really aching, and then so the body really harmed. But because that's a sensation. But when you were really doing the practice, so you start learning how to balance and also learn how to take the challenge. And then every time you break through the challenge, so you upgrade. So for example, the desire is the challenge. If you learn how to overcome the desire, and then you feel, wow, I can master my life. I can, really feel light and have lots of energy, and then you feel life much more meaningful. So that's one of the reasons, is to learn how to deal with the life and the body. And the ancient wisdom has been developed the methods for cultivate to understand everything's connected. So you use their you actually utilize the connection. For example, when you were inside, you really want to helping the other people, and then when you help, I'm sure you experience that. And then when you help, you feel, wow, I'm so happy because I'm useful. And also you see the other people feel happy. And then you feel your life much more valuable and much more enjoyable, right? Do you experience that? Yes. When you have that feeling, you know what is happening inside you, because you break through you as only you, because you start connecting with the outside life, either human, an animal, or whatever. When you see their life and have shining and happy, so you get the feedback, you feel happy, right? So that's why that's the life, and then to have the energy of the life, prosperity and very rich and beautiful. It's go through the connection and then service and then forget yourself. But nowadays a lot of humans forgot that, and then because they have been told, said, all right, you are going to important to find your own value. Yes, of course. If people not self-confident, they need to find their own value. But that's what we were called. What is really meaning of life? The one thing is now in this planet, in the earth, in the society, so much talking about the value. So that's actually, I feel, it's interestingly, people forgot to emphasize about what is the ultimate goal for the life. And then, but if you emphasize your personal value, so okay, and then, wow, material value, how much money you earn, and how much status you have got. So that's the personal value. And then country value is how much GDP you have got, right? So so that's why, and then to show the muscles, so how much weapon, how much money, how much kind of material I have got. So that is become a very limited, because the human being was competition about the, oh, I'm a genius, I'm much better, and then that's actually bring the people, the energy goes down, because they too much look the material, too much look on the visible part. So, and then cause the separation in between the high dimension,
space and time.
so now if we understand, and then the big cosmos, because we put ourselves, we are the holograph system. It's not because you just said, oh God, you're talking so big, you're trying to make yourself big. Nothing to do with that. It's not to try to make your big, and then just like, people say, oh, just like a cult, you're talking cosmos. No, because we are in the cosmos. If you could be put yourself into the cosmos, because you have a microcosm, you have your body, you have so much cells, each cell is spinning, each cell is moving. They are, as a community so large. So that's why if we can connecting that with the heaven, the cosmos, that's what is the Tao. The Tao is like you bring the human merging with that the big picture is cosmos. When you were talking that kind of your true nature, so that's impossible to measure by the material world. So that's your true nature of yourself. That's why you have very strong. You can see why people, when they forgot themselves, when they were understand cosmos, and then they, they living as much more peace within themselves, because they understand we are as the divine, the part of the divine, okay, and the part of the nature, and the part of the light, or we maybe just objectively reflect towards that. So as soon as we understand, so and then we understand. Can you imagine that probably you may have that experience? As soon as you emerging with the nature, you find you have much more energy, right? Yeah, when you were really enjoying to be with nature, appreciate them, and happy with them. So that's why when you set up that understanding with our source, our ultimate source in either we call it as a divine, or we call it as nature and the cosmos, whatever you name of that, because that's the infinite of that energy with us. So therefore, we automatically get lots of energy, but so now society is so much emphasized about the middle part. What the middle part? So okay, all of that, the sensational sense and material part. So that's why we understand why people so much holding those 7 emotions, they cannot letting go. That's exactly happening on the many civilizations. If you would look at many civilizations, there used to be so much in the sensational stimulate, like in the old Rome, and then in the and they're just like Pompeii, in Italy, in Pompeii, they're just enjoying about the working on the body all the time. So, and then suddenly, the volcano come, and then they all disappeared. So it's like quite lots of time when the people not to respect the nature, need to be, rather than use nature to serve for our sensational, and then too much hold about the material or money is so important. So that's why I can imagine in the that pandemic is the big examination to everyone. It's not to the government. Because normally people just said, okay, I'm making money and I feed children and then go to work and then come back and then just life changes like this. So the people gradually forgot because the material gets more and more, and then they're so attached to the material comfort, and then they were thinking to accumulate that is become their life goal, and then the whole the material become a life goal. So that's why this pandemic happened, because the cracking down said, look, and how can you just not respect the nature and the air and the other life to support to this kind of a human material development. So if we don't really put in the human and the deep purpose into life in a very clear understanding, we are come here is to upgrade our soul, to understand why we're here. We are here to go through all of that kind of a challenge, about material challenge, about emotion challenge, and then to be able to aware why we are here, because each emotion to be able to let we overcome. For example, we are talking about the 5 virtues, and like why this time it attacked lung, right? Breathing. It's the reflection about the human as the whole conscious group consciousness. Are we really respect, or we are not? If we don't respect, so that's why, and then the nature, and then come back, gave our big license, and then we need to reflect that. It's not just that, okay, just keep distance is the way to let the people understand, and we need to stop. I interpreting as like this. So that's why, when you will stop, you have a space to go back, to reflect, and then go deeper to ask your questions, and then to face the fear. So that's why, the fear is linked with the wisdom, the wisdom connecting with the kidney, in our organs. But can you imagine why the wisdom is getting less? Because we create so much sense from the kidney, and so much, about the desire for either sexual desire or money desire, and all kind of just doing, and not really have a time and space to relax, to reflect, to understand the human. We need to be a human being rather than human doing. Not. So that's why the virus start to come out to give our license. So that's why I feel like to look at almost like one that's emergent situation. Everybody deep their cultivation, whether they cultivate enough, it's all come to the surface. From the the state, the leaders, and then to family members, and then almost every of ourselves. That's why we're coming back to the Chinese medicine. So Chinese medicine, you can see even from the action, how to take action to monitoring this pandemic in China. So first, you see, they make sure they're doing the test. So that's why WHO also talking test. Why? Because you need to understand how many people infected. It's really almost like you're scanning your society, what the situation it is, and then you divide it Yeah, the minors one, and then the severe one, and then the serious kind of dangerous people. So that's why you use different methods to deal them according what they need. So just from the operational management part. But there's also the same as like a Chinese medicine, where you see why the Chinese medicine, this prescription is quite large for each prescription. To me, part of from some of the unique prescription have a 20 kind of herbs. So this first, there's two prescriptions quite big. It's why, because the situation of the human, it's really have so many organs of failure. Attack to the lung first, and the rest of them are really deteriorate. So therefore, support system on all those herbs is getting large as like the tin. It's almost like the house. If the house has only window have a problem, so you cannot rest broken. So you just send the window specialist to repair. So because that's a manners problem, and then you can use the one expert is coming. But if your whole house is collapsed, so you need to know every expert, related to, their how to do the floor and the roof and every aspect. So the same as the body. So now pandemic happening, attacked so much, means our society is really sick. So it's quite interesting. Our one of the kind of either the people like friends, and then he asked me, said, "Can you use one sentence to describe this pandemic?" First, I thought, wow, it's really to tell us everything's connected. We all need support to each other. But now, if I ask me again, I will answer different. And that's really the test for humanity about their virtue cultivation. Is the give the examination for everybody, for their soul come down to the earth. So what you have been done. So how can you answer that application and problems, and then what is your soul learning? So what you have been done. So that is what I feel. Why the Yellow Emperor medicine book, from the first chapter, they're talking immortal. They tell people, look, you're as human, but you can't be immortal. Don't forget this. But how can you become immortal? Is you need to respect the nature. You need to understand you need to have a wisdom to understand how cosmos formed, how cosmos like, and how can you in tune with that. And so that's why they gave so much kind of detail to guide us, to monitoring us. So that's one of the reasons I started to realize we are actually, as the fate, as human being, as the fate in the earth is the big kind of classroom. Right. So that's why I like to mention that, even why Chinese medicine acting such an important role to stop the virus spreading in China. So they got this first stage get very successful. But it's not guaranteed they will keep that forever, because and the whole world is kind of like a serious kind of infected. So that's why the other pressure, the pressure come from, and the border and the people coming in, because our world is really communicate to each other. So that's why everything's connected. We need to learn through those kind of a connection. How can we keep energetic balance, and our soul can upgrade? So, for example, dealing with the death. When the people, the Chinese ancient sage, they're never really afraid of death. And I remember I mentioned that the Lao Tzu stories, when his wife died, he was kind of singing on the street. so the people said, why?
Sorry.
Yeah. So why? Because the cultivate, and for them to understand cosmos, the death is not really just finished. It's the new beginning. But of course, if you are fearful to death, so your energy is become very low, and so the death themselves, the person will be not, they have a difficult to upgrade them. But if people beside them feel sad and then fearful, they also bring their soul energy lower. So that's why, for faced with so much death, is a part of the test. How can we bring the ancient wisdom to understand what is really the life is about? So can we, through that great opportunity, I had a feeling deeply, and then I don't really think the virus really tried to destroy the soul of the human, because they really take care of our spiritual life. Why? Because people forget spiritual life or separate the spiritual life and the physical, and which is the bring kind of a whole kind of a earth situation become very energetically very low, very kind of scattered. So that's why when from 2012, actually the Earth is come to the point, because the vibration with the other planet is the Earth's energy start rise. So when they rise, there are lots of the soul, they start to experience the highest dimension. So that is the tendency for the humanity to move to the higher dimension. So that's a brilliant sense. So now, if the people don't really consciousness aware that, if the people don't consciously practice to move with that Tao, move with that nature flow, that's one of the reasons. And then some people just continue, soul continue move. If the soul don't move, so that cause the damage to the earth. So that's why this kind of damage cause we call the collapse. And so the collapse is natural. Collapse is almost like you need to clear up, the rubbish. So to clear up the negative energy, to be able to assist people to move on. So that's why when you understand your mission, so you understand, the death is actually is to help you move about. So, and then if you still stay here, that means they give you the examination prolonging, you have a much more chance to reply in the better way. So that's why, this examination start happening. And so that's why when the people talking about, heaven, paradise, and hell. So that's not external. That's not in the outside paradise and heaven and the earth and the hell. It's actually inside ourselves. When the people and even living in a beautiful environment, but there's so much about the thinking about themselves and then try to and, holding the material and then the battling about whether they haven't got enough, even they have millions, billions in their pockets, but they're still thinking they want more. They're already in the hell because this type of an energy is already drag the soul come down. So instead of said, okay, the money is a part of the energy, let we use that to help the other people. And then you feel much more happier because you're more kind of useful, and then you're more through the material helping the more people feel calm, feel they have a much more respect. So that's one of the reasons we need to understand this pandemic is the way to wake up our true life, the meaning of our true life. So that's why instead of to try to find their master outside, and the guidance outside is very important, is coming in to us, our heart. So those kind of a deep instinct is not the instinct, deep inspiration. Actually, that was the divine state. That was the high vibration, universe energy state. So that's why if we have an inner light, so that's why helping us to bring the consciousness and from within to go up. So that's why they can release so much anxious and anger and feel lost. So that's why. Do you realize when you feel you're so happy and then you feel you overcome some of your blockage, which is everybody has, and then you find that even we call the external environment changed. Like, when the people find they always complain, the people treat them bad, they keep meeting the people treat them bad. But as soon as they find, wow, those people are so nice, so wonderful, when you have much more light, you start finding, you meet up people very helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah, you have that experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why, and then remember, all of the world, what we were said, we have an illusion. We think outside and the inside. Actually, it's all inside ourselves. That's exactly the ancient wisdom in the Chinese medicine is talking about. It's the inner journey. So that's why the pandemic asks ourselves to be much more aware our inside journey, to change inside and feel calm down and balance inside. When you're inside brighter and much more harmonious, the whole world has changed. But if you find lots of people complain, this one, is because the inside there's too much complaint and too much about emphasize the dark part. Mm-hmm. So that's why I feel to be able to see the sickness and the death, and its big part is affected even economic situation, society, the safety and either society is stable or not stable, is about the fear. Because like when the pandemic happening, we always said the fear bring the rumor faster than the virus. Yeah, because people started talk about their emotion, all kind of forward about the social in the social media and about stories, because you can see when they forward whatever they are reflect that person what they believe. So they all said, why does China have a virus? And later said, oh, yeah, so the virus is all from American. So that's why you can see the patterns about this all blame and the
Yeah.
external enemy and attacking them. You know, that's a deep fear.
Yeah, it's very deep.
Yeah, it was just so interesting. So when you were looking at that kind of a human pattern, so now we understand why pandemic come. Hey, can you imagine that the virus is so small? And then that's almost invisible. But how could it make stirred the people have so much money, control so much, military and the ships and navy. They make the navy and the ship, paralyzed.
Yeah.
So that's why, and when we were looking into that, we really start laughing to understand, and we, of course, we live in the yin and yang, so there is a dark and a brightness. But we understand when we start to accept the both of that, and then we get into that kind of emerging with harmonious oneness. So that is the part we deeply feel we are worthwhile to come here, because we start realize all of that journey to be able to feel free for your soul. Why are you going to? And then you're not afraid of the death, and then you can mask your energy and then your life, and then you feel you learned so much, and then you can go into the different dimension with your inner light, and then guides you. So that's why all of this, and then come through that. If it actually, the big pandemic can bring people calm down to look into who we really are. That is the truly key. Mm-hmm. And we hope that people really use that opportunity when you're on your own, because England people like, please stay at home. Lots of people say, oh God, I'm sick, I stay at home if I'm dying. See, that's people's reaction. But look, if you stay at home, calm down, and then start really look inside, and then start to pray and acknowledge, appreciate your life, appreciate what your experience. So because partly we are here, it's always showing your some of your aspect need to break through. The limitation need break through. If you have a fear, you need break through the fear. And then, for example, I was experienced some of the nurse and doctors in China. It was amazing because when they heard, their quarantine and then the city locked down, the first sense, the majority of people say, oh God, the virus are better hiding, escape, because hiding, escape is a kind of fear dominate the emotion. But you see why China can quickly go over, because there's so much doctor and the nurse. The first sense to think, oh wow, people need help, I need to be there. I'm sure now I heard that England have so much volunteer and a sign. That's also that's kind of a spirit, because the life really shining part, and then the big achievement is because you are valuable. You can help in the other people. You can overcome your fear, because how can you overcome your fear when you forgot yourself? Can help the others, because as soon as you forgot fear, you can help the others. So your light start rise. That is the most powerful cultivate method. It's not that you just sit there and only about said, oh, I'm going to a high dimension. No, it's not only about that. It's about your calm, because we are in this society. There's so much challenge come. When we had a challenge, the first reaction you are was that. And I heard a story. There's a Chinese doctor. She's working in Wuhan. You see, the center of the pandemic is discovered. The virus discovered. But of course, they said that not necessarily the source from the Wuhan. The scientists still try to looking for it, but they discovered that there's a start. So and then her first reaction is, oh my God, my colleague must be very busy, so they need me. No, she didn't think, oh God, luckily I'm outside, I can hide, I can be alive. You know what she does? Because there's no public transportation, so she walks. And she take that bicycle. In China, you just scanning the bicycle. You can ride in the bicycle for whatever. So she took the bicycle and riding bicycle from this stop then to the other stop, and then to the point the bicycle, that cannot go through. And then she persuade people and then can take her like hitchhiking. And take about couple of days, and then she was walking in the rain, and then there's no food because the shops are all closed. So what sense really make her have such kind of a courage? And then laugh to because she said, I'm just thinking very simple. My colleague need me. They must be very busy. I need to be there. So, and then when she appeared in the hospital, people just, was totally surprised. And wow, how could you come? Because people know there's a distance from the house, her home to here. And then she was so happy. You see, that's one of the reasons we called, what is the pure high virtue? The pure high virtue, when you had faced the situation, your first thought is about truly want to help without thinking about yourself. That's called the true virtue. That's very different from people say, I have money, but I have to pay lots of tax. So maybe I set up a charity, and then I can deduct the tax, and then I get a good name, and I set a charity. Right? that I heard some of charity because of that. I was kind of very surprised. So the charity, you're meant to be unconditionally helping the people for, but it's not because all of that you can get benefit and then you do it. So that is not a true virtue anymore. So I just want to say, so now just embracing that pandemic, and we know that is there must be the human mind and the human action has been leads to what that are happening, plus those environment situation. So that's why, and lots of sense we need to learn to reflect what we contribute at. How can I make difference? How can I aware my life, my soul, my energy? How can we raising up and higher? Because when you are raising up your energy higher, guess what? You radiate nice vibration. So you are actually helping the people around you. So that's partly why lots of people say, oh, wow, you just have a thought. You need to say something else. So that's why Taoists said, and Tao is not ordinary Tao, cannot talk. Why? Why not talkable? Because the vibration, lots of them beyond words or beyond the thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's apparently when the Chinese medicine doctor knows that. And then can you imagine a lot of people find they like patients. The one case I heard, they're in the hospital and then they got temperature, they cannot breathe, and then she just feel like she's about to going to die, and then there's a nurse, and then the nurse have such kind of big heart, said, oh, you don't need to worry, you're okay, we are be with you. So can you imagine, she just feel that kind of energy, and then the nurse put her hands into the patient's hand. That's powerful, compassionate on that energy, as like electricity, and go through to that patient. That patient suddenly feel she can breathe better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why there's so much these cases has been reported in that kind of either hospital or the people have been sick has been recovered. So we need to understand why ancient Chinese medicine doctor can deal that pandemic, because they understand what is the truly situation. But of course, pandemic is such big scale. But wow, look, that big scale. So to test each person. So now, I just want to, through this opportunity, to address that everybody cannot escape. No matter whether you're a doctor or you're not doctor. But also I want to address that if people want to find a solution, try to get Chinese medicine, but make sure you understand Chinese medicine is not this medicine, honeysuckles, they can kill the flu, the virus. It's not working just simply like that. Chinese medicine is an energetic grouply support, and this particular person, their whole energy system is not just one herbs killing the flu on the other herbs. It's not that kind of a mindset. Okay, so that's we need to understand the mindset is the most important sense. It's not a separation mindset. It's to understand and everything's connected. So even your mind and loving and care that person, and then even just that thought, you bring the water, you bring the maybe the porridge, and then you will help that person. But of course, if that person really trusts, really can experience that kind of energy, they will benefit from it. But of course, the Chinese herbs have a much more wisdom into it. I just want to mention a few words about the herbs. The doctor to use herbs really means their situation gets really serious, like a severe situation. Because in Chinese medicine, we always say that if it is the medicine, they always have a little bit toxic. So the ideal, you don't need to use medicine, you use the food. If you use the food combination, you can already treat mild discomfort. But if you through the breathing exercise and then qigong, you can maintain your body and then your inner environment as balance. So, but when you use the herbs, you need to understand the herbs character. Herbs like human. and they accept, no, they absorbed their um, heaven energy from sun, from moon, from the air, from rain, and also they absorb the earth energy. So that's why, and they have their own character, depends on the area they're growing, depends on the way has their, their geography like. So to understand herbs need quite lots of knowledge, and also to understand the energetic distribution on those herbs. So in Chinese medicine, doctors normally need to understand the herbs combination have such a skill, because if the wrong combination could be cause the damage. So that's why to be able to know which herbs combine which herbs is vital. And because some of the herbs they put together, and then they can enhance their energy, and then they get much better kind of result. But for example, if people feel cold, you put the ginger, and the ginger is a warming character, and then they help to calm down the stomach and then belly, and they can really help the the digest and the warming up your body. But if you add it and the white part of the onions, so because the onions are also pungent, they are also as warming. And then if you added some pepper, and then the pepper and then can also pungent, but they open up the surface on the nostrils, and then also some other channels. So that's why if you're serious blood blockage, so they added their ginger and then spring onions and the pepper for the severe cases, because there's a three herbs can combine to bring lots of the heat and opening up and to get rid of the stuff. So that's why the use the herb need to understand the patient condition, and then to look to how to make the right combination of the herbs, because this time the COVID-19 virus is quite a complicated situation, because they affected the lung first, but also the whole other organs as well. So that's why to use the herbs, there's quite lots of different combination about the whether there's cold, they're damp, and they're heat. So because the Chinese medicine based on those kind of different scenario as total your body condition. So through that, they can release the problem. For example, the severe cases in the hospital, and when they use ECMO, means you use the machine and ventilator to try to get oxygen in. But sometimes people cannot adapt and that kind of machine, and so that's why the body start to reject, and also to start to bloat their stomach, and then they cannot passing through the stools. All of that actually make toxic even stronger. So that's why the Chinese medicine herbs to introduce to bring some herbs like release their bowel and clear the toxic. So that's why the patients quickly feel better, and then the balance up. Then they can adapt the machine and adapt the oxygen and pushing in, and also some Chinese herbs release their flame mucus on the lung. So because that's quite lots of special herbs have these functions. So they combine with other herbs as team to, as soon as release the lung mucus. So that's why the patients almost instantly feel they can breathing much better. So that's why Chinese medicine got so much better kind of a result is because the doctor need to understand the herb's character and understand the patient's character. So to be able to use the herbs to balance up their serious condition. It's good news I want to tell people is there's an online platform about over about I think 50,000 and doctors on the whole world and learning about their experience about in China. So that's why I see there are different countries, TCM doctors all in the learning process to understand how successfully China has been used the herbs, so that they will be used in their own clinic. So in this case, if anyone want to use the Chinese herbs, please counseling your local Chinese medicine doctor. But also make sure not just hear, or someone said, oh, this one can cure the virus, so then you just pick up the one herbs. Very rare for this situation can get results like this. So I just want to get that message quite clear. But of course, because pandemic is very similar symptoms, and that's one is the advantage because they have a few kind of herbal prescription, especially dealing with those people have a high temperature, have a similar kind of diagnosis. So that's is the good news, because normally Chinese medicine always have to be one-to-one diagnosed. But if they got very general kind of condition, very similar, so that's one of the reasons in the ancient time they have a specific prescription, especially for those kind of symptoms. So, okay, I hope that explaining some of the idea. I wish that people start to get into the deep understanding. Chinese medicine is not the medicine only dealing visible material body. Is they are much more take care and look after or helping to upgrade the soul. So the pandemic is the examination for soul upgrade. So I hope everybody have a journey with us or listen to that podcast to get benefit from that message. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.